Well, welcome back. Another episode with Wycombe. We've hit episode 20. I mean, what person in the world would do 20 episodes with Wycombe Wanderers? I mean, let's be real. Only a moron would do that. I mean, things are starting to improve at the club slightly. I mean, we've matched the same amount of wins we got in the first 6 months of the season in the first 2 months of this year. Yeah, but other than that, it's going horribly wrong at the club again. In the last episode, we took on Sheffield Wednesday in a game at home that we needed to win, and we lost by a goal to nil. I mean, that's the story of the season so far. We had to win the game, but we lost the match. We might have lost the battle, but we are definitely going to lose the war. See, I'm going to try and see how many times I can rephrase the phrase "we're going to go down this season" in as many episodes as possible. Now, we have played a few games off camera in between the episodes, and following that defeat against Sheffield Wednesday, we took on Bristol City at home, and Alex Samuel once again was the match winner as he scored in the first half to give us a 1-0 win, where we got absolutely battered, by the way. Honestly, with some of the games that we're winning, I literally cannot work out how we've won that. Following that, we took on bottom of the table Luton Town away from home, and Ryan Alsop scored a known goal in the first half, which I don't really think was an own goal, but it is what it is. But then Kieran Brown opened his account for the club, tapping in after a Luton defender knocked it onto him from a free kick. We then went away to Blackburn Rovers following that, and Adam Armstrong scored in the first half to give Blackburn a 1-0 lead. But then Dan Nalondalou equalised only a couple minutes later with this great strike inside the box. And then we managed to win the game and turn it around after Blackburn went down to 10 minutes. Alex Samuel once again scored the winner.
He's done it again! That is a foul! Fucking little bastard!
This bloke only scores winners for me, doesn't he? And then our final game was against Huddersfield Town at home, and Jarrod Branthwaite scored from a corner with 15 minutes left on the clock to give Huddersfield all 3 points and to put us actually firmly in the relegation zone, which, I mean, hasn't changed from last episode. But in this episode, we take on Derby County, a team that are currently in the bottom 7 with us, and I say bottom 7, we're in the bottom 3, and Derby County are nowhere near the bottom 3, so I've used that loosely. And I went to go look at the analytics after our game against Sheffield Wednesday, and when they were talking about the efficiency we have in defence, it said that we are currently busy and impenetrable. I mean, I didn't realise they were talking about my personality. I did actually think that was a good thing that we're impenetrable, but then I realised that we're facing a lot of shots a game, so of course we're going to see more goals. Now, Liam Cullen had to go off in the game against Sheffield Wednesday, and I found out that he twisted his ankle, which put him out for 6 weeks, which I thought, okay, that's not too bad. We did sign a few players during the January transfer window. We should be fine. That wasn't until Niall Ennis got the exact same injury after I put him in an under-23s game to build up his match fitness, which means I'm now down to 2 strikers, one of which is Adebayo Akinfenwa, who is actually back from injury, by the way. I forgot to mention that last episode or an episode before that. Not like he's going to score anytime soon for me anyway. Dan Nalondalou then pulled his groin in training, which meant I was down another winger. Honestly, I cannot work out what is going on.
There's something going on and it's bad.
Wow, bet you didn't think Donald Trump would turn up in this episode, did you? I mean, this season was tough enough as it is, and now you just give me all these injuries to make it even harder for me. I might as well just rename this series The Impossible Job. The one assist that Nico Hammerline has performed this season in the 23 games that I've played him in has seen the media raise the issue that he should be recalled to the Finland squad. Honestly, boys, they must be having a left-back crisis like myself. And it really is Twisted Ankle Football Club, because we end up getting another one with George Moncur injuring himself in the match against Huddersfield. Sorry, lads, it seems like I've pressed the button, which means that all my attacking players have to get twisted ankles in the previous month. At the most important time of the season as well.
I'm gonna kill myself!
So Lee Bowyer, in one of his press conferences a couple of months ago, said that we don't have what it takes to stay up, which I mean is actually 90% correct. But he ended up getting sacked by Charlton. I mean, who's the real winner now, mate? Although all I'm showing you is managers being sacked before I eventually get sacked by Wycombe. But now we move into our game against Derby County at home, and I've decided to stick to the same 4-3-3 formation that we've been playing with the 2 defensive midfielders, even though it got us a defeat against Sheffield Wednesday in the last episode, and I'm most likely sure it's going to get us a defeat in this episode. But there is 2 new debutants in the side in this series, and as Marla Soro takes his place as defensive midfield, he was meant to play in the last episode against Sheffield Wednesday, but obviously got injured, and Marcus Brown plays on the left side of the front 3. And our back four sees Kieran Brown return to the side, and he's been in really good form recently for us, so I decided to keep him there alongside Anthony Stewart. Josh Knight has been pushed up from centre-back to play in defensive midfield alongside Soro. And Daniel Nalondalou will play on the right-hand side of the front 3 instead of the left-hand side, so I can fit Marcus Brown into the team. Oh, and also because we have an injury crisis up front, Akinfenwa's on the bench again. You love to see it. I mean, that's what the goalkeepers will be saying when he gets anywhere near the goal, because they know he's not going to score. To be honest, that Derby side is actually quite strong, and I'm not really sure why they're that far down the league, to be fair. But to be fair, they do have Gary Monk in charge, so scrap that last statement. But in all seriousness, this is quite a huge game for us, because the teams above us are starting to drop points here and there, and we're starting to close the gap on them a little bit. So if we could get some points on the board, we may actually have a slight chance of staying up. Well done, Proudy. You've now preempted the fact that you're now going to lose this game, haven't you? My team talk before the game was to fire up the players because, as I've already mentioned, this is quite a huge game for us. If we win here, we have a chance. If we don't win here, there is a chance we could go down to League One. I mean, not like I've been saying that all season, by the way. But things started off really well for us at kickoff because we managed to knock the ball around really well for the first 10 seconds before we knocked it out of play. I mean, great start, lads. Honestly, the incompetence in this team is astounding. After 15 minutes, new signing Marcus Brown was involved straight away as his free kick was well saved by David Marshall. And then he was involved again 15 minutes later as Josh Knight's shot found Marcus Brown and one-on-one with the keeper, he put it wide. I mean, Darryl Horgan wouldn't have missed that. Although, to be fair, he wouldn't have been in that position anyway. Derby was starting to come into the game just before half-time, and Billy Gilmore laid the ball off for Hanson Aaron, who only fired it straight at Ryan Allsop. First time Ryan Allsop has been called into action. It's only taken 36 minutes. I mean, we're improving in that aspect. After 37 minutes, I was trying to work out the shout system, and I realised that I'd already used one, and then I was trying to shout at my players again, and it wasn't working, because apparently there's a time limit on shouting. Look, Football Manager, if I want to shout at my players, I will shout at my players. But unfortunately, the neighbours keep knocking on my wall every time I try and record, so we can't do that too much. On the stroke of half time, we had a corner into the box, which was headed out back to Marcus Brown, and he put a lovely ball into the box, which Alex Samuel hit on the volley, and David Marshall pulled off one of the best saves I've ever seen in this game. Not in all time. Like, no, let's not go that far. Half time came around, and despite the stats being quite even, we were actually on top in the game, I think. Like, we had the majority of the highlights, which I've shown you, and I clearly haven't edited to make it look like we were on top. Because let's be real for a second, I don't really have that many highlights to put in the episodes anyway, so I don't know why I would cut them out to only show my highlights. My half-time team talk was simple. Just keep it tight. Let's try and not concede some stupid goals here. And within 15 seconds of the restart, they allowed Josh Murphy to run down the wing, put the ball across the box, and Hanson Aaron's shot was thankfully saved by Ryan Allsop. Imagine that, conceded within 15 seconds of the restart after you told your team to keep it tighter. With about a third of the game left to go, I decided to make a bold change once again, and decided to send on Adebayo Akinfenwa up front to add some physicality to our attack, and then push Dan Nalundalu into a forward role as well. And then with 10 minutes left on the clock, Derby started to get the upper hand in the game, and Jordan Ibe was played through by Ritzmaier, but thankfully he shot straight at Ryan Allsop again. I mean, Ryan Allsop seems to be saving everything again. It's truly amazing that it's actually taken him this long to actually start making saves, because back in October and November, the guy couldn't even save a Word document. And then within the same highlight, Hanson Aaron got down the wing, put the ball into the box, and Jason Knight hit it straight at Allsop. Easy catching practice for the keeper, that. Their left back was causing all the trouble, and his corner in the box found Jordan Hugill, who headed it over the bar when it probably was easier to score. Boys, can we do something about this? Like, you know, maybe score a goal? Or defend? As we were approaching injury time at the end of the second half, I decided to make another change, and Dominic Gabe came onto the pitch to replace Nick Freeman in midfield, and then Osman Kakai came onto for Jason McCarthy at right back. And then a minute later, a cross into our box was headed out as far as Max Bird, who laid it off of Ritzmaier, who then fired it into the back of the net from the edge of the box. And imagine my shock, one of my substitutes decided not to actually close him down and then allowed him to score. Thanks, Osman. And as if Derby's left back has done that, by the way. Absolute bullshit. And that late winner proved to be the last highlight of the game, and we lost 1-0 to Derby. I mean, I feel like every time I come into an episode and I'm doing really well, I then get to the Livecom game and then we lose. Why does that keep happening? Honestly, some of the worst players I've ever had to coach. Coach in quotation marks, by the way. I don't coach these players. I just leave that to Andy Cole and the other bloke I signed as the defensive coach, whose name I've forgotten already.